see you.
Yes, you too. Welcome back to Snack Chats, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm one of the team lead dietitians, our outreach coordinator, and today I'm here with Marcie.
Yes, I am also one of the team leads and specifically our pediatric team lead at TLB.
Yay. Marcie, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today, we're going to be talking about disordered eating and kind of going through what that kind of definition is, signs and symptoms, maybe how that's different from eating disorders, and kind of treatment options. So a lot we can dive into today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this topic is so relevant for so many folks, because I feel like a lot of clients we work with maybe come in not necessarily having a diagnosed eating
Yes.
disorder, but maybe there's just like kind of a troubled relationship with food, body, or movement. And I think all of that can kind of fall in under this category of disordered eating.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's important to name too, and can be really validating for clients if they're like, well, I don't have an eating disorder, so I'm not sick enough, or like I don't deserve treatment, or that sort of thing. And it's, I think good to talk about like, yeah, you do deserve to have care and to improve your relationship with food and body and movement. And so, yeah, I think this is an important topic to discuss for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between like, okay, what's a diagnosed eating disorder and then what's disordered eating? And how do you know, yeah, maybe which kind of like category an individual falls into?
For sure. So with diagnosed eating disorders, that is coming from very specific criteria in the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistics Manual. That is where criteria for all mental health disorders are listed. And so someone with disordered eating could definitely have similar behaviors, like restriction, purging, binging over exercise, what have you, as someone with an eating disorder, but there's a very specific criteria for frequency, severity, um, that would kind of constitute whether it's actually clinically an eating disorder or not.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you, but I don't really look at the DSM. I feel like
No,
that's
I
right. Like it's so relevant with
don't.
I think insurance billing is kind of the biggest thing, right? Where
Yes,
we can
yes,
like, depending on a diagnosis, we might bill things a certain way to help clients get
right.
coverage. But I think at TLB, what we really do is just we are with the person that's sitting in front of us, and like whether
Yes,
there's a diagnosis or not, we're kind of approaching things similarly,
yes.
just from the standpoint of like, okay, and what would it look like to kind of heal from this, whether it's a diagnosed eating disorder that fits specific criteria or not.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't look at the DSM often. It's probably been a while, but right, I agree. Like we're looking at what behaviors people are struggling with, the mental side, any medical stuff. Like our approach doesn't change. I think it's also worth noting that as dietitians, we cannot diagnose an eating disorder. That is not within our power. Um, so it's like a doctor, psychiatrist, therapist is someone that can actually give the diagnosis of an eating disorder. And I agree, Sarah, for insurance or treatment, that can be really helpful, or maybe someone's needing accommodations at work or school. And so I think there are times when a diagnosis code or a diagnosis is more important, or maybe for a client to feel more validated, perhaps. But yeah, it's not something that really changes our approach or how we work with people because it's so client centered, individualized. We're really just working with a person versus like a diagnosis specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go through what could be like considered a, sorry, pop up on my computer. What could
Of
be,
course.
I know, right? Good timing. What could be considered, or like what behaviors might fall into the category of disordered eating? And maybe we could just like kind of bounce some ideas off of each other of experience we have with clients that we've
Yeah,
seen.
for sure. So I think like kind of a definition, it's like a spectrum of behaviors someone might be engaging with due to concerns about food, how their body looks, their weight, shape, their health concerns, things like that. So I kind of mentioned a few examples of behaviors we might often see, like someone's restricting their food, but more specifically, maybe they're cutting out like a whole food group or a certain macronutrient, or they're counting calories. they could be purging, via vomiting, laxative exercise, binging. But I think there's a lot more that can fall into this too. That's right, a little bit more under the radar. And I think a lot of it too can be like the mental and emotional aspect of it. Like if someone's going out to a dinner and it's not something they normally eat and it feels scary, it's like if they are feeling so anxious about it, it's like, yeah, I think that would fall into this category of disordered eating or an eating disorder for sure. But even just that anxiety or emotional distress around food, I think
Mhm.
really was a big part of it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I feel like that's what I talk with clients a lot about, where it's like, what's the intention behind the
Yes.
behavior, right? I think that
Right.
has that plays such a big role. And then also like quality of life when engaging in the behavior. So those are usually my biggest questions, where it's like, okay, you're wanting to cut out X food group. How does that align with like your lifestyle? And is it causing you more stress than it's potentially providing any benefit ultimately? Um,
Yep.
yeah. Do you have thoughts around that?
No, I totally agree. And I think there's the nuance of like, sure, maybe people have foods they're cutting out because there's an allergy or it upsets their stomach. Like, I'm sure you and I have foods like that where it's like, yeah, that I can't have chocolate late at night because it keeps
Yeah.
me up or things like that. So I agree with the intention of like, why are we doing this? Is it a true health thing? Is it, really listening to your body? Or is it this food's bad? I'm bad if I eat it. It's too unhealthy, right? I think it's more of, yeah, the intention and what are the beliefs kind of underlying that. And I think quality of life's a big thing. Like I'm sure we've both had clients where they're like, well, I'm just not going to go to this birthday party because I don't want to deal with the cake or I don't want to eat pasta or whatever it might be. So I think quality of life is really a big part of it of like, are you missing things in your life? Are you bringing your own food to things like that? Right. So yeah, I think quality of life is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think this is where working with a dietitian could be so helpful, because I feel like I've had clients come in where they're like, I don't know, this is just what I do. And the more we dig into it, we come to find that it's like, wow, this is actually causing you so much stress. And you might not actually need to eliminate or cut out this food for the reasons that you think. You might not need to do it at all. And so it's so helpful to work with the dietitian to kind of sift through like food rules that maybe you grew up and they just felt second nature, right? That's what
Yeah,
the family did, and so that's what you do now. And again, like these rules might be totally arbitrary, and so it's so helpful to
exactly.
like lay it out all on the table and kind of figure out, what do I actually align with and what maybe can I kind of leave behind.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about that too for clients where they kind of come from cycles of dieting in their families. So it's like, well, my mom did this, or I grew up with this mindset. And so it's really breaking down and exploring. I mean, it's so much exploration of why someone's doing it. And you mentioned values. Like I think in our counseling work, we often bring in like values work of like, is this aligned with your values? Do you want this for yourself? Is it adding benefit to your life? And I think a lot of times that's how clients can really start to shift their mindsets of like, wow, I actually want something different, or I do see now how much anxiety. So I think that helps build motivation of like, I can see how my life would be better if I'm challenging some of these things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think if there's any maybe disordered behaviors we left out. There can definitely be ones related to exercise. I don't know if we touched on that as much, but
Oh,
like
mhm.
exercise frequency, intensity, or even just forms of exercise.
Oh,
Like this could
God.
be a big one too.
No, I'm so glad you circled back to that. Yeah, I mean, I think about, and I think a lot of this is tied up in diet and fitness culture, but it's like you can't take breaks, you can't skip a day, still go to the gym if you're sick. And so it's like, I think how I kind of think about it is like if there is no flexibility, if we are so rigid with exercise of like, I have to do this amount every day, or I have to earn foods or burn food off, or I can't skip a day to go to a social thing, or when I'm sick, if we can't prioritize rest, I think those are really big indications that maybe there is a disordered aspect of that relationship with movement.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I think movement can be such a tricky one, because I think it's so, anytime movement is talked about, I feel like a lot of the time it is rooted in very diet culture, fitness culture concepts where like I have some clients that are like, I don't even know how to like have a relationship with movement outside of maybe trying to change my body. And so that's definitely a conversation that can be had with
Totally.
clients too, where it's like, let's reshape what this even means and looks like for you.
Yeah, or hearing clients say like, "Well, I just hate it because I hate the gym and I don't want to do XYZ." And it's like, "Well, what if we find movement you actually like? It doesn't have to be in the gym, it doesn't have to be something we see in social media. It's like it could be just moving your body in a different way or for the enjoyment of it." And I love having those conversations with clients. I think it's so fun, and we know there are so many benefits to movement aside, from trying to change your body. And so I think it's really cool to help clients connect to that of like, yeah, what value could this add to your life or help with your mental health, physical health, emotional health, like, or just because it's fun and feels good,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I think exercise is a big one. And as you brought that up, Sarah, it kind of made me think about body image a little bit too, of like, if someone's body checking a lot. So if you're looking in the mirror a lot or feeling, you're really preoccupied on certain parts of your body, like I think that's something I hadn't thought about initially as much with this conversation. But I think like if there's a lot of fixation and it's causing a lot of distress, like getting dressed, you can't get out the door, you're avoiding going swimming, right? Like I think this is something that can come up too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's so relevant with all of those areas, the food, the body, the movement. One of my like approaches with clients that I like is I'm like, okay, your brain, imagine it as like a pie chart. How much of
Mhm.
the pie chart is being taken up by thinking about food, thinking about your body, or thinking about exercise? And it's like if
Yes.
majority of that pie chart is now taken up and the rest of the things that are important to you in life have this much space on that pie chart, it's like, let's explore that. It doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, I really like that visual too. And I think it helps, visualize to clients like, wow, just how much of my day and my time is being, kind of consumed by these thoughts. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things we've missed. I do think it's worth talking about just like we kind of touched on, like the role that diet culture plays. And I think now it's less about diets, but all these lifestyles that are seemed as normalized or whatever. So I think it is really challenging where maybe someone's like, well, I feel like I'm doing the right thing to be healthy. And it's something I saw online or is really popular. And then it's like, well, actually, this is really restrictive or causing a lot of anxiety.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's such a good point. Like diet culture is kind of what shapes our viewpoint a lot of the times of again like the food body and movement. And so yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there and there's a lot of information that even if it's quote unquote true for one person does not mean that applies to every single person. And I think that's really important too, like as you are seeing social media posts and all of that, it's like something might feel really beneficial to one person, but if for you it feels very stressful, very time consuming, very tedious, maybe that approach or like that philosophy just does not apply to you and your values.
Right, right. And we've said it a few times already, but that is why our approach is so individualized of like everyone's different and maybe something of that is helpful, but yeah, if you don't have to copy exactly what someone's doing. And I mean, I could go on a tangent about social media, but I just think about influencers or people promoting things and I'm like, do they even do it? Are they getting paid for it? Right? Like, is it a endorsed thing? So I just think we have to be mindful too of like, and being really critical of what we're seeing online of like, is this real? Like, I don't
Yeah, is
know.
it AI? Is it actually, is that
AI.
even a real person or
I
not? At this point, I don't know.
I know. So, anyways, I could go off on that, but I think and I like to talk to clients about that too. Like, yeah, let's talk through how can we be more critical of diet culture, what we're seeing, and yeah, again, bringing clients back to what's important to them and their values and improving their quality of life.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. Any other things that we didn't get to that I'm missing?
Probably. I feel like this is a topic we could talk about for like an hour, but I think if this interests you, like we would love to work with you. And again, it's just this deep exploration of your own experiences and journeys. And I kind of said it, but like, even if you don't have an eating disorder, you are very worthy of care and treatment and getting support. And so, even if you're like, well, I'm not, again, sick enough, this comes up a lot, that
Yeah.
to us, that doesn't matter. Like if you're struggling in
Hmm.
any of these aspects, you're deserving of care and getting some support. So we'd love to work with you if any of this resonated.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And if you're curious, if you have questions, if you're not sure, you're like, I actually don't know if I have a healthy relationship with food in my body,
Totally. Right. Right.
reach out. Like Marcie said, like we would love to work with you and explore that with you.
Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, yes. Thank you, Marcie. This was such a good conversation. And like you said, yeah, we could go on forever, but
I know.
we'll work one-on-one with a dietitian and yeah, we'll keep
Yes.
exploring.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sarah.
Awesome. Bye.